14 morning reminders that will reshape your mind. Before the world speaks to you, before your phone lights up, before the weight of your responsibilities returns, there is a brief silence. In that silence, you are given a choice, a chance to direct the energy of your entire day. Not with force, but with presence. Not with noise, but with intention. What you tell yourself in those first quiet moments becomes the lens through which you see everything. So today, before anything else, breathe and choose to speak to yourself with power, with clarity, and with purpose. These are not just words. They are the foundation of your inner strength. Speak to them, feel them, live them. Let us begin. Each morning, life offers a quiet opportunity, a reset that is often overlooked. Before the noise of the world floods in, before the mind starts racing with yesterday's worries and tomorrow's plans, there exists a still space, a breath, a silence. It is in that space where we can meet ourselves honestly, without distraction, without the masks we wear for others. Mornings are not simply the beginning of a day. They are a sacred invitation to return to alignment, to pause, to ask ourselves what matters to me right now. When you wake up, your mind is a blank canvas. You have not yet been influenced by external noise, messages, or demands. This is your purest state of awareness, the moment before you've picked up your phone, before you've checked the news or glanced at your calendar. In that quiet, you hold the power to shape your energy, your attitude, your focus. You are given the rare ability to consciously direct how you want to live this day, rather than reactively falling into old patterns. But most people miss this moment. They rush, they reach for their devices, they scroll through notifications before they've even taken a full breath. And in doing so, they allow the outside world to immediately set their emotional state. Their mood becomes dependent on messages, news, or the to-do list, not on choice, not on conscious intention. That is the opposite of power. That is the opposite of presence. To reset each morning is to gently reclaim control of your inner compass. It is to pause and remember that you are not just a body going through routines. You are not a machine designed to wake, work, and repeat. You are a living awareness capable of reflection, capable of growth, capable of deciding who you are every single day. Your morning mindset becomes your anchor. If your thoughts are scattered, anxious, or reactive first thing in the morning, you'll find your whole day continues in that same chaotic rhythm. But if your first thoughts are rooted in calm, clarity, and grounded purpose, you'll notice how that peace follows you into everything you do. You'll speak with more patience, you'll listen with more presence, you'll face challenges without being consumed by them. This does not require hours of meditation or some perfect morning routine. It requires presence. It requires honesty. It requires the courage to sit in silence for just a few moments and ask, what do I want to embody today? Maybe it's a strength. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's focus or compassion. Whatever your answer, that becomes your compass. That becomes your internal reference point when the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. Resetting each morning is also a form of forgiveness. You let go of what happened yesterday, not by ignoring it, but by not letting it define you. You acknowledge your mistakes, but you don't drag them into the present. You learn from them and then release them like dust from your shoulders. Each morning reminds you that you are allowed to begin again, that redemption is not some dramatic event. It is a decision made quietly, consistently, each day. When you reset in the morning, you shift from being a reactor to being a creator. You stop being pushed by circumstances and begin to move with intention. You respond. Instead of panicking, you choose presence. Instead of being lost in the past or future, This changes everything: your relationships, your work, your internal peace. Imagine entering the day not with stress, but with stillness. Imagine meeting the first problem not with frustration, but with a centered breath. Imagine walking into each space not wondering how others will see you, but knowing exactly who you are and what you bring. This is what happens when you set your compass before the world gets a chance to steer you off course. And you don't need perfection to do this. You just need consistency. A few moments of clarity repeated daily can shift the trajectory of your life. You don't need to feel inspired every morning. You need only to show up for yourself, to sit quietly, to breathe deeply, to speak truth into your own mind, and then to carry that energy with you like a flame that lights your path. The world is full of chaos, noise, and urgency, but none of that needs to live inside you. You are allowed to be still in a world that rushes. You are allowed to begin slowly, gently, and deliberately. You are allowed to honor yourself first before offering your energy to anyone or anything else. Let the morning be your moment. Let it be your reset. Let it be the time where you turn inward, not to escape the world, but to strengthen your ability to meet it. You are not here to be overwhelmed. You are not here to be consumed by every demand. You are here to walk your path with clarity, and that clarity begins the moment you wake. So tomorrow, when your eyes open, don't rush. Don't reach for your phone. Don't let the world speak to you before you've spoken to yourself. Sit up slowly, feel your breath. Remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself what matters. Reset your compass, and then only then begin your day. Because how you begin shapes how you live. The most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Not the loud voices outside, not the opinions of others, not the distractions of the world, but that quiet, constant inner voice that narrates your reality. This inner dialogue shapes how you see yourself, how you respond to life, and how you treat others. It is the foundation of your behavior, your choices, and ultimately, the life you live. Thoughts are not just passing moments in the mind. They are blueprints. What you think about yourself becomes how you feel about yourself. How you feel about yourself becomes how you carry yourself. And how you carry yourself becomes how the world responds to you. If the voice inside your head is constantly doubting, criticizing, or belittling you, then you start living from a place of insecurity, even if everything looks fine on the outside. You hesitate, you second guess, you shrink from opportunities, not because you aren't capable, but because your inner dialogue has convinced you that you're not ready. It's not about fake confidence or positive thinking that ignores reality. It's about speaking truthfully to yourself with kindness and clarity. If your inner dialogue is full of fear, your actions will reflect hesitation. If it is full of blame, you'll find reasons to stay stuck. But if your inner voice speaks encouragement, calm, and intention, then your behavior begins to follow a different rhythm, a rhythm of presence, responsibility, and courage. You become what you repeatedly say to yourself. If you constantly repeat, "I'm not good enough," you start acting like someone who isn't. If you tell yourself, "I always fail," then you begin to sabotage your own efforts, often without realizing it. But if your internal voice begins to say, "I'm learning," or "I'm capable of handling this," then your posture changes, your energy shifts, and your actions begin to support that belief. This is not magic. It's awareness. It's the recognition that we are not helpless participants in our own minds. We are the observers, and more importantly, we are the editors. We can pause, we can reflect, we can choose to speak differently to ourselves, not to pretend everything is perfect, but to create a more supportive internal space from which we live. People often wait for external changes, more money, more recognition, better circumstances, hoping that those things will bring confidence, peace, or clarity. But the truth is, all of those things are temporary. If your internal world is full of chaos, you can be surrounded by praise and still feel like you're not enough. You can achieve success and still sabotage it, simply because your internal dialogue hasn't caught up with your reality. Real transformation doesn't start outside. It starts in the silence of your own mind. When you wake up in the morning, before you speak to anyone else, you've already spoken to yourself. You've already told yourself something about the day, about your abilities, about your worth. That first conversation, whether it's rushed and anxious or calm and grounded, sets the tone for how you move through the day. Your outer behavior is not separate from your thoughts. How you show up in a room, how you speak to others, how you deal with conflict or pressure, all of that is rooted in the dialogue playing in your mind. If your thoughts are chaotic, your reactions will be impulsive. If your thoughts are calm and centered, your actions will reflect that stability. Imagine someone who constantly tells themselves they are behind in life. That internal story makes them compare, rush, and feel unworthy. They might overwork the fight. That's how peace is lost, not in dramatic moments, but in small, unnoticed ways. A rushed morning, a conversation that left you agitated, a decision made in fear instead of trust. It adds up until one day you wake up and feel disconnected from yourself, like you're living on autopilot. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can come back to your peace. You can return to it, not once, not occasionally, but daily. In fact, you must. Just like the body needs rest and nourishment, your inner self needs quiet, stillness and reflection. A moment to pause, a breath to reconnect, a silence to hear your own thoughts before the world's voices drown them out. To nurture peace means creating boundaries, not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. You learn who drains you and who supports you. You learn when to say yes and when saying no is an act of self-respect. You learn that protecting your peace is not avoiding responsibility. It is showing up with more strength because you are rooted, not scattered. Your peace is not passive. It's not a weakness. It's a force. It is the reason you can stand firm when everything around you is chaotic. It's why you don't need to argue to prove your point. Why can you walk away from situations that don't honor you? Why can you pause in the middle of conflict, breathe, and choose clarity over reaction? That is real power. The ability to stay calm, not because everything is easy, but because you've trained yourself to respond from depth, not surface emotion. The world honors hustle. It rewards urgency. But urgency without direction is noise. Movement without peace is exhaustion. You can achieve everything and still feel empty if you have not protected your inner space. True success is not just what you build, it's the state of being you maintain while building it. There will be people who don't understand your need for solitude. There will be moments when the world tries to provoke you, bait you into reacting, tempt you to step outside your calm. But you always have a choice. You can step back, you can breathe, you can observe without becoming consumed. That doesn't mean you suppress emotion or pretend to be unaffected. It means you process with awareness. You feel deeply but respond wisely. You let the storm pass through you, not overtake you. To guard your peace means knowing your triggers, not to avoid life, but to better navigate it. It means checking in with yourself often, asking questions like, is this mine to carry? Is this where my energy belongs? What do I need to return to my center? These questions are anchors. They keep you from drifting too far from your true self. And yes, peace takes effort, but so does chaos. Being constantly stressed, reactive and disconnected also costs energy. It drains your focus, your relationships, your creativity. So the real question is not, can I afford to slow down and protect my peace? The question is, can I afford not to? Each day offers you the chance to begin again. Each moment is an invitation to return, not to a perfect life, but to a balanced state, a grounded awareness, a quiet strength. It's already within you. You only need to stop, breathe, and reconnect. Even a few minutes can shift your entire day. Even a few deep breaths can interrupt a pattern of reactivity. The more you nurture your peace, the more it begins to lead. You'll find that you no longer tolerate chaos. You no longer seek conflict. You don't chase validation because your approval lives within. You don't try to control everything because you trust your own steadiness. That peace becomes your guide, your decision maker, your silent protector. So return to it. Every morning before the world wakes up, every evening before you sleep, in between meetings, in the middle of stress. Let peace be the place you come home to again and again. You are not powerless in a noisy world. You are not helpless against the tide. You are the one who decides where your attention goes, where your energy flows, and where your roots grow. Your peace is your personal power. Guard it fiercely, nurture it gently, and return to it daily. Because from that place, everything you do becomes more aligned, more focused, and more free. When the world pulls at you, remember, you've already anchored yourself in truth. When doubt whispers and chaos rises, you've already spoken strength into your spirit. These words, these affirmations, they are not just reminders. They are agreements you've made with yourself. Agreements to rise, even when tired. To stay still, even when the world shakes. To choose clarity over confusion. Presence over distraction. Discipline over comfort. You may not control what the day brings, but you always control what you bring to the day. So rise, not just from your bed, but into your higher self, into your purpose, into your peace. Speak these truths every morning, not because life is perfect, but because you are willing to meet it with awareness, with courage, and with grace. The day has already begun, but so have you. Return to this silence often. Let your words guide you. Let your actions prove them. And walk forward with presence, with power, with peace.